I broke the trust. I did.
On the 22nd of June 2024, Salim Swaleh, once a beloved news anchor's world, would come crashing down on him. His career was over. What followed was a soiled reputation, bankruptcy, and even neglect by family, friends, and fans. Salim Swaleh has been a household name in Kenya for more than a decade, of course because of the man's prowess and eloquence in Swahili journalism. Coming from a humble conservative Muslim family, Salim Swaleh beat all the odds through hard work and resilience, becoming among the best of the best that journalism in Kenya could possibly offer. For more than a decade, Salim Swaleh would work with some of the biggest broadcasting companies in and out of the country. The biggest breakthrough of his career will be seen in January of 2023 when he will be appointed as the Director of Press Services at the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi. However, what initially seemed like a blessing would soon become a nightmare for Salim, as a single mistake in just a few months of working at the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary would see his lifelong career crumble into shreds. This is his story. Although not sure of the exact date, Salim Swaleh was born in the 80s in Bondeni, a slum in Nakuru County. Salim's father Swaleh had 3 wives, including Salim's mom. Salim had one half-brother and a sister. For his primary education, Salim went to Bondeni Primary and Nakuru Primary Schools, respectively. At some point in his childhood, his father and mother separated, and his mom moved to Gilgil, leaving Salim at the care of his father. This would force a young Salim to juggle his stay in Bondeni with occasionally visiting his mom in Gilgil. Salim's father would sadly pass away when he was only 10 years of age and a class 4 pupil. Due to all these hardships, Salim would be forced to drop out of school in class 4 and move in with his grandma, who would help raise him. Together, they would spend time on the streets vending samosas to sustain their daily basic needs. Salim would not go back to school, at least not until he was 12 years of age. Salim Swaleh was fascinated when he learned that there was a program known as Elimu ya Gumbaru in his locality. Just for clarity, Elimu ya Gumbaru is a program in Kenya which gives a second chance to all people who missed their chance at their younger years by offering them non-formal education. Salim Swaleh always knew what he wanted to become since a young age, and so he decided to join them in hopes of rescuing his dream of one day becoming a renowned journalist. Due to his older age at this point, he would re-enroll straight to class 7, and surprisingly, a smart and focused Salim would perform exemplary well, enabling him to join Menengai High School for his secondary education. Salim's interest in journalism grew even bigger while in Menengai High School when he got the opportunity to work with the KBC e-learning program, which was set to discover and nurture young journalists. Salim reunited with his mom at age 15. Salim's mom at this time was married to another man who did not exactly approve of the kids. However, Salim continued with his high school education and ended up scoring a C+ in his final exam, which according to me is quite impressive, especially considering the turmoil the young man had already been subjected to at such a young age. Salim was really a hard worker, and he would immediately start working as an untrained Swahili teacher at a school in Eldoret while still waiting for his college admission. Salim went to Aviation College and Mwangaza College and later worked at Ghetto Radio without pay before landing his first paid job at Sauti ya Mwananchi Radio in Nakuru, earning only 8,000 Kenyan shillings a month. However, this is where Salim would get the breakthrough he always wanted in his career, as while still working here, his workmate would present him with an opportunity to travel to Iran to work as a Swahili radio host. Salim would therefore travel for this gig in 2008, and his familiarity with the Islamic culture would greatly assist him in coping with his day-to-day life in the Islamic Republic of Iran. He would immediately start working at Radio Iran as a presenter for a Swahili show, where the pay was quite handsome, and within just a year, Salim would enroll for a degree in broadcast journalism at the University of Tehran. It is also after this first year that he will briefly return to Kenya, where he would marry his childhood friend Sharifa. Together, they would return to Iran, where Salim would continue with his work and education. According to Salim, in comparison, by this time he was earning about 200,000 Kenyan shillings a month. It seems like Salim had finally achieved his childhood dream after all. Shortly after, they would also be blessed with their first daughter. They would stay in Iran until 2016 when Salim decided to return to Kenya permanently with his small family. According to him, he reached this decision because he did not feel like his daughter would be able to acquire his desired quality of education in Iran, and mainly because he wanted his daughter to get a great foundation in the English language, which lacked in Iran. After returning to Kenya, Salim applied for an opportunity to work with the Royal Media Services, which was accepted almost immediately. And I'm not surprised at all because you can imagine by this time his portfolio must have been quite impressive. He joined the Citizen Television, one of the biggest news and entertainment television networks in Kenya, I would say, where he initially operated as the Swahili editor before being promoted to a news anchor. As soon as his face was on TV, it will not take long for Salim to become a public figure in the country, as this man was really good at what he did. Salim would work at Citizen Television from 2016 upon his return to Kenya until mid-2018 when he moved to NTV as a Swahili editor and a news anchor, where he would also be promoted as the head of the Swahili section. Salim remained at NTV until after the August 2022 Kenyan general elections, when things would take a turn even for the better for him. The newly elected governor of his home county Nakuru, Madam Susan Kehika, had shortlisted his name to work as the head of communications for the office of the Nakuru Governor. This was a milestone for him, as he would have the privilege to serve the community that nurtured him. However, word was out there and he had to leave NTV due to questions of a possible conflict of interest. Salim would lay low, waiting to be nominated, where again he would feel like the process was taking a bit too long and he knew he needed to get working. Salim therefore approached his friend and role model, the then newly nominated Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, and requested to join his team, which he agreed, and Salim therefore withdrew from the Nakuru County Governor's list. Salim would be vetted by the County Assembly, where he would be deemed fit for the job. He was nominated as the new Director of Press Services at the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary of the Republic of Kenya in January 2023. Salim Swaleh had finally done it, and his star was shining brighter than ever. He had finally landed a position that came with it great power, influence and responsibility. And I'd guess this would also mean a fat check for him at the end of every month, or at least this is what he showed on his social media platforms. Salim was now posing with expensive cars and suits, vacationing at private locations, and even happily giving interviews on his newly found fortune. However, this fortune would prove to be short-lived, because on the 22nd of June 2024, just a year and a half into Salim Swaleh's employment, the unthinkable happened. The Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, gave a statement informing the public that 6 individuals had been arrested at his railways office for engaging in fraudulent activities, and among them, his Director of Press Services, none other than Salim Swaleh. The once media darling many tuned into had found himself on the wrong side of the law. According to the report, Salim together with others had orchestrated a scheme where they would defraud foreign investors through promising them non-existent government tenders. They had already gone to United Arab Emirates contractors of 5.5 million Kenyan shillings at a promise of awarding them a tender to construct 2 stadiums ahead of the planned 2027 Africa Football Cup of Nations. Salim would rent his office space to fraudsters who had perfected the swindling. the fraudsters would get access to the premises through masquerading as top government officials. To advance their scam, the fraudsters found in Swaleh's office had put up fake door switch name tags to avert any suspicion. The victims, who as mentioned earlier were mostly foreigners, who would be ushered into these offices, would be asked to give bribes in exchange of government favors. The fraudsters' days were however numbered, as on Saturday, the 22nd of June 2024, security agents who had been keeping surveillance on them smoked them out as they waited for their victims. 6 would be arrested in the operation, including Salim, and to make it even worse, they would attempt to bribe the security agents to secure their release. They would later be arraigned in court, where they would be detained for a few days before their bond was set. The case is still pending. Salim Swaleh would eventually lose his job. The many fans who adored and looked up to him suddenly turned against him, hurling all sorts of insults towards his way. This bullying by members of the public forced Salim to create a cell phone video begging for sympathy and acknowledging his mistakes, where he would even break down into tears at some point, claiming he was also on the edge of bankruptcy. Well, I guess Salim is not familiar with the phrase, never speak without the presence of a lawyer, because if you ask me, this video is a clear admission of guilt, and it should have never even been made in the first place. Anyway, that's how Salim Swaleh destroyed his lifelong built career after falling into the allure of quick and easy money.